It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition podcast, episode 10, which is crazy to say already for season 3. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike Martin, joined by my 4 players, Mark, Josh, Dot, and Bub. Hello, as always.
Hello.
Hello. I mean,
It's been a week for everybody, but... Well, What was that, Josh?
I mean, because I'm staked.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
True.
right,
You
yeah.
can't
True.
say anything. Just stay quiet. It's for our viewers, it's been a week since last episode, so I'm hoping people are chomping at the bit for more. For us, it's been like 10 minutes, so we're really excited to get back into it. But before we do, a big thank you to everybody over at Patreon, patreon.com/podbynight. You guys are the ones that keep us chugging along and moving, and without you guys' support, we wouldn't be on season 3 of Stitch of Fate. So thank you for allowing us to tell this story to you guys and allowing us to explore these characters. And if you've been wondering whether it's like worth it to get on a Patreon, head over there. We are now, since we're in like our second year doing this or somewhere around that.
We're almost to our second anniversary.
Nuts. That's nuts. It's right around time where we took a look at the Patreon. You're going to see some more rewards added, some things moved around a bit. We're just generally trying to make it a better value for everybody who wants to support us while being able to provide you guys an extra entertainment as a thank you for jumping on. We might even see some merch stuff going out to those who are on some of the higher tiers of Patreon. So again, patreon.com/podbynight if you guys want to check that out. And if you guys just want to support us by buying merch, head over to our link tree. It's over at twitter.com/podbynight. It'll get you right over to the shop where all of our mugs and notebooks and t-shirts are. Get them while you can. Characters can die at any time. And then the merch will be gone. That's, and I think I've decided.
Now we can run limited edition Sean merch.
Yeah, you can
Get
just
it while it's alive.
make his picture black and white and it just says R.I.P. over him.
Just
Special
X's
limited
over
edition.
his eyes.
There you go. Perfect. See, now we got to kill people because then we can dual use content for extra monetary income. Perfect.
Do we have those Sean armbands available in the store yet? Like the Superman, the Superman style?
Rip.
Let's be real. You cannot compare Sean to Superman.
Whoa!
You just can't. He was the Superman of taking drugs. Give him that.
He was super high.
All the
Yes,
time.
all the time. Literally, constantly. It's the only way he knew how to operate. All right. Outside of those things, those are how you can support us. Oh, the other thing I'll say is, like, if you guys are interested in jumping into our Discord, while you may get special colors and access to locked rooms if you're on the Patreon, the whole Discord as a whole with the majority of its rooms is free for you to join. So just jump in there if you guys want to, chat with the community, talk spoilers, theories, plots, which is constantly being talked about over the Discord, or you just want to surround yourself with a super friendly, wonderful group of people who also really love Vampire, just like you.
And most of us are there too. So if you just want to pick our brains, then by all means, we're right there.
I'm one of the lurker types. I'm there, but I watch, and that's all. And occasionally I'll like poke in and say something or try to clarify, but I'm always just watching over. Is that it? Are we good? Is that everything? Did I miss
I
anything?
think so. I think that's good.
All right. With that, then, let's set the scene, rein it in, and see what our coterie is up to. All right, yeah, so you want me to go look at the mud place?
No, it's called the Mud Spot.
The mud spot. That kind of feels like, it's been a while, but that feels like a weird kind of like dirty sex maneuver. Like, you want to hit it in the mud spot. You know what I mean? I haven't done that since I was immortal, so it's been a while. Maybe they call it something else now.
I'm going to pretend that those words did not just flap from your face. Go to the Mud Spot. Have a cup of coffee daily. Do you understand? You're looking for a man.
I'm sorry. I just can't stop thinking about now. I'll go to the mud spot daily and I'm going to have a cup of coffee as he does enormous air quotes. I'm just tickle myself pink.
Well, please do it in private.
He points and like giggles. You got it. Mud spot. Keep an eye out for a blonde guy, a preacher man, you said. What was his name?
He, don't worry about his name. not important. If he shows up, call this number.
He takes the paper from your hand. Is
My
this yours or somebody else's?
manager will answer.
Got it. He folds in, puts it in his back pocket.
If he approaches you, do not give your actual name.
Sure. Standard procedure. Not
And
worried.
whatever happens, don't come here.
All right. Are you going to tell
Great.
me anything else? Like, this is clearly a kindred I'm after.
No, actually, in fact, I don't want to tell you anything else because I'm afraid that you'll fuck it up. So take the number, find the address, have yourself a cup of coffee, and mud spot yourself into oblivion.
He's just, he takes the number, he's nodding along with you. He's just like, I just can't help but feel it's like one of those situations where the less I know, the more danger I'm in.
Well, I can't help to feel that maybe I'm not giving you the information because the more you know, the more danger you're in.
All right. Hey, he puts his hands up. After this, are we even?
Sure.
You mean it? Debt's paid, boon's done, I can go away for, never maybe ever talk to you again.
Yes, you can go do whatever it is that you do.
He gives you a very lazy salute with 2 fingers, and he's just like, it was a pleasure working for your boss. And he spins on his ball of his foot and walks off with the jaunt.
Why can't he be trying so hard to kill all of them? And I just, as he saunters
Vera
away.
mumbles to herself as she makes her way back down into the basement where Sava lies still as a corpse laid about on your floor. Max still kind of hovering over him, but the stake very firmly lodged between his ribs. And Duke maybe 5 feet behind, watching everything, making sure everything's going down as planned.
Okay, and there you go. All right. I didn't put too much pepper on it, so I don't think it came out through the back.
Sava's eyes just stare blankly upward. Though you can spend a willpower to make minor movements, Sava, as part of the rules.
Spend all my willpower to give him the middle finger.
Do you actually? I want to know if you spend a willpower trying to do it.
Oh, man. Feels worth it.
It does, doesn't it? Do it.
Yeah, I'm going
All right.
to.
Why the hell not?
Can I get a wits awareness from all 3 of you, please? Crit 6. Jesus Christ. Duke has 6 successes. And we'll see what good old... Mark gets 2 successes. The only one who notices is Duke. Duke, you watch as Sava's right hand, you see his 2 fingers all around the middle finger twitch just a little bit, just barely giving what is maybe the middle finger. And it must be because he's moving and he shouldn't be moving.
Sure.
And you just see it. You just see it happening.
Oh, Max, you've done such a good job. He's left you a present. Look.
What's that? Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. All right. You're okay, Sava, as I just close his eyes with my fingers.
we just see Max reach down and with just one hand and the 2 fingers, boop, pop the eyelids closed. Sava, you go from being able to see everything to seeing nothing.
We need to lid this and move quickly.
Yeah, it's like, he's probably not going to want to stare at some wood grain for a few hours, is he? All right, so, we'll get that on there, get a few nails in there, here we go. Max probably just drives the nails in with his thumb, like just presses them in like they're thumbtacks.
Easily so, yeah. You just kind of push each nail in right through the wood, a few of them around. Now, the question I have is, how are you bringing him to the Chantry? Is it through the sewers, where likely the only eyes that will see you are those who have the ability to speak with rats and so on? Do you want to try to shove him in a car? Perhaps maybe
I could
hijack
have
a hearse?
John pull the car around.
Yeah, you know what? I don't mind. I can take him through the sewers, and if I'm carrying him, I think he'll be cloaked up too. Let's not take any chances here.
We will have to make a stop. And Vera, I will ask of you that you step into a inconvenient store at this point, if I can call it that. There's a Kinko's, and I need you to Xerox this manual. I know, I'm basically
what?
asking. It's called Kinko's.
And I do what?
And it ain't what you think.
Xerox.
It's not some one kind of like a sexy underwear store or nothing.
Oh. Well,
I need you to make a copy of this book.
okay. Like... Oh, okay.
I'll take John.
John wheels around the corner. Yes, milady. Can I do anything for you this evening?
But we're going Kinko's.
To copy something?
Yes, Duke, tell him.
John, take Vera with you. You, Vera, take John. However this situation works, I'm still yet to figure that much out. Take this book with you and copy it. Bring both back, please. It's our bargaining chip.
What is the vibe? Should I dress up?
Do you have a long coat?
I'll check the costume closet.
Great.
Vera awkwardly strides off. Now, my question then is, are you going to wait for Vera to re-meet up with you after she's made the photocopies so you have that book on hand when you approach the Chantry, or is it something you're hoping she will arrive with later?
My thoughts is that we'll travel through the sewers together.
Yep.
And that we'll make the stop and she can ascend. With a little assistance, I imagine we can push John up the steel ladder leading to the street.
If worse comes to worse, you have Max, and Max can go, up you go. Yeah. So, yes, you'll be able to get him, though. I don't think John has ever gone through the sewers before, so this may be new for him. Maybe he has in the past working for you. It's possible, either way. So then you'll wait for her, basically, after, and then continue on from there. Okay, easy enough. Vera, as you swing open the costume closet, you have a choice of long coats, all of them, I don't want to say flamboyant or in one way or another, but definitely all eye-catching as they are theater costumes.
Something, no fur, feathers, tweed.
John just stares, waiting for you to pick
something.
something.
Do I look normal?
He steps back and, milady, there has never been a night where I would consider you normal. You are ravishing in all eyes, under all lights, on all nights.
Thank you, John. Come on.
He offers you his arm when in reality he kind of needs yours. And as you hook your arm under his, you feel him lean against you ever so slightly as he does. Where are we going this evening, madam? Other than Kinko's? Shall I pull the car around to take you?
Here's a question. Does John need to escort you to the Chantry?
No,
Do we need to go?
He's not needed at the Chantry.
All right.
You just needed to help you with the get around to Kinko's.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go. I think we'll pop out and go to Kinko's while they finish prepping Dear Sava in a box. And then we'll be back with the books. And look, if Vera doesn't have to go to the Chantry, she don't want to. That place takes her out.
As you're getting ready to go, we'll say Vera pops around the corner again with John and is like, we're going to take the car and head to the Kinko's. Does anybody say anything to that?
Very well, we'll meet you at the sewer grate just to the side. John, you'll have to separate from Vera from that point.
Oh, you understood. Vera, I'll leave Vera in your company, and I will return home.
Very well.
So Max would have... He's probably got a pretty good idea how wide a manhole cover is, so the box that Sava is in has most definitely been selected so that it fits through. So that we don't have any kind of weird comedy of errors, physical hijinks. It's all gonna go smooth.
That would never happen. Never, ever, ever happen. Perfect. No worries. Then John will escort Vera out to the car. And a short drive or so, you are brought to a Kinko's, sandwiched between many different buildings, part of many different shops around. And you can see the Kinko's sign. The O is out, unfortunately, so it simply says Kinks. And as the car parks, he looks up and opens the door and wanders to the side. We are here, Vera. And he opens the door. Ugh. Do you have the book?
Both books, or what? The book. Yes.
Oh, which one are we supposed to copy?
Both of them.
Ah, I see. Well, this would be very expensive. Come along, madam. And he starts to escort you to the front door of the Kinko's. He's reaching for it, but then some shopper looking down at their feet just swings the door open, bustles past you, and John catches it to allow you inside.
Yeah, I guess I go in and Vera has no idea.
Do you have on or not?
Oh, of course.
It's passive, so I just wonder if you have it on.
Yes, always.
So Vera steps in with Sean, the ghost of Sean maybe, but John follows behind and grabs, again loops his arm under yours, and as you step through the threshold, There's a young man, maybe Vera would take a guess, maybe he's 19, like clearly like a young kid, and he looks up, looks down, and then double takes. And he quickly finishes what he's doing, and he steps out from the register, and he hurries over your way, and he's like, Miss, welcome to Kinko's. What can we do for you today? And that sounded very practiced.
Yes, of course. These 2 books, full copies, please.
Oh, an entire copy of both books? Every page, front and back?
Yes.
He not. It's gonna take some time, and it's gonna be. And he points up to a cardboard sign hanging by 2 metal cords from the tile ceiling, and it shows like the price of each copy, and it says each page is 5 cents.
Great.
Is that gonna be all right? I don't want to surprise you with anything. Well, actually, you know what? He looks around both of his shoulders. I haven't used my daily employee discount today.
That would be great. I have a question. Would it be less? Would it cost less if you did it digitally?
Scan photos and put it on like a drive?
Yes, instead of printing it.
Well, he looks up. He's like,
Yeah, I was about to say, and put it in a little. I'll take that one. It has a yellow and black bat on it.
He looks down. He's like, oh yeah, we can definitely do that. It'll be a little cheaper, depending on how much time it takes me. Like I said,
as fast as possible.
Yeah, of course.
These are the hand-drawn books of my dear grandfather. He's dying, you see, and we must get it done before he withers away.
As you say that and look back and forth to John, when you say he's dying, there is a moment where John looks confused for a minute, and then he kind of like kicks back in, and he's like, cancer of the throat. And there's a pitiful look from the employee, and he's like, yeah, I'll make it super quick. And like I said, and he like reiterates, this time with more emphasis, I'll use my daily employee discount for you. Make it cheap.
So sweet. I boop him on the nose.
You watch his face go flush red as it just runs, and he steps back, and he's like, oh, I'll get to work on it right away. You notice, as I'm imagining Vera would, his name tag says Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And he very bashfully turns away, and he gets to a computer and starts working on it.
John, almost to the car, the fluorescence, I can't.
John looks to you. Would you like me to sit here and wait while you stand outside? Wait in the car, then.
Yes, make him feel really bad, if you don't mind. Maybe he'll hurry it up.
Of course. And he begins to wander over to the counter as Vera leaves. The whole time the boy's making copies, he keeps looking up at you, and he does notice that you're leaving. He's like, you don't have to go anywhere. It's almost done. I apologize this is taking so long. And that's when John reaches the desk, and he puts both hands on the counter, and he kind of leans himself on it. He's like, you must hurry. I'm dying. And as he coughs, the boy goes back. He's like, I'm going as fast as I possibly can. And he kind of fiddles with it. There's a moment where he has to look in the book, and Vera would notice that he does like take peeks, and he's like looks at it with a very baffled looking face.
Oh, it's eating away at his brain too.
As you say, as you open the front door, it's eating away at his brain, and you stride out toward the car. And John just looks up at him, and he puts his hand on his head and like feigns a headache and waits. The boy hurries himself up as Vera waits in the car, and after about 15 minutes of sitting in the car, you watch John open the front door and meander his way out. He hands you the drive, and he said, after the discount, it was a paltry 5%. It ended up being 27 and change, milady.
Oh, wonderful. Did we get that covered, or should we dash?
I had the spare on me.
Oh.
Just letting you know for the books, perhaps you wish to inform Duke. I do not keep up
right,
with them.
Numbers. Oh, I haven't really thought about them since, we don't even have walls around us at the house. Let's go. I'm sure they're waiting on these.
Yeah, and as you step out of the car and you walk to the, down the block to behind one of the big buildings that has a candy store at its forefront, Back there's a manhole cover. Sava in the box can see nothing. Max and Duke, however, had a nice peaceful stride through the sewer as Max went invisible. Max gonna get a rouse check since you are moving and we're invisible for this.
And here's your rouse check.
All right, you get a point of hunger. As you would have time, obviously, to have conversation between Duke and Max. Is there any conversation the two of you would have as you walk through the sewers, or would it be just light conversation or just silence?
Yeah, actually, Max probably would strike up a conversation with Duke,
yes,
invisibly,
yes.
Of course.
So, assuming they believe us, what do you think the Chantry's next move's gonna be?
If all goes by calculations, then I assume that they're going to play ball. They're going to want to make a move. New York can't fall. There would be nothing of value into losing their home, particularly to the Sabbat.
You think it's worth sticking our heads back up?
I know it is. We're never good at lying low, even if we are the black sheep of the family, so to speak.
Okay, well, cover's blown anyway. I might as well make contact with some sources in the NAS network. See if we can flush out Gustav, huh?
Yes, it's time we nip that in the bud.
Yeah. Oh, I nipped Gustav's buds pretty good the last time we met. They probably grew back by now, though.
That does beg the question, however. When you finally nip that bud, how are you going to feel?
You know something? I'm gonna see how I feel when I feel it. First, I'm gonna get the job done. Then I'm gonna worry about my emotions.
I can respect that. I can say that we're going to need to move, Max. I think you're aware of this as well, and I'm building accommodations now. Is there anything particularly that you feel like you're going to need in another city?
Well, if we can be within spitting distance of a hospital, that's probably gonna help me out.
It shouldn't be a problem. I'm already making accommodations to fit Sam and his sister's movement.
Sounds good. And I mean, hey, if I can ask for the moon, maybe have a couple within spitting distance. That way I don't have to, lean too much on one.
Something I've learned in my studies of the place that I'm hoping that we move to is that where we travel now, through the sewers, this place, the sewers operate a little differently, from my understanding. It's not something I have a lot of information on, as many are not very forthcoming on it. It's a city built under a city, and it moves opposite of our traditional clocks. I think you'll find that you can move rather quickly in the sewers of where we're moving.
All right, sounds good to me. How does it sound to you, Sava? Yeah, he likes it.
Yes, I hope he does. I've agreed to something that's going to be rather fortuitous for him and his clan, and it's going to be very difficult for me, I have no doubt.
Okay, Duke. Well, get ready to use that silver tongue of yours, because, again, I'm not so sure the Chantry's going to buy what we're selling.
Never so sure if it's silver-tongued or if it's just poisonous, truthful vitriol.
Yeah, well, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, this should be it here.
Oh, hi. It's me, Vera. While you're taking a break, take a moment to visit dieharddice.com. Die Hard Dice is a sponsor of this little podcast. They make what we do possible. During checkout, make sure to use the code DRACPAK, DRACPAK, and you'll get 10% off your entire purchase. And we get a little cut for our own resources. Sounds like we only roll with the best.
And as you arrive under the sewer grate where you'd await, you wait maybe about 5 minutes, having arrived slightly earlier than Vera had finished. But eventually, you can hear distinct footsteps of multiple people approaching closer and closer, and eventually able to discern the clacking of heels before. There is, I assume, a noise or a knock made to indicate one to the other. Whatever that telltale sign is, It allows you to know that Vera is standing above ground. Max would be the one to lift the sewer grate open, I imagine.
Yeah, clamber up there.
Yep, you hear the
Hey, Vera, what's the rumpus?
as the metal grates against concrete and slides off to the side. There stands Vera and John.
Was Kinko's the phantasmagoria you were expecting?
It was... it was a choice. I learned how to Xerox onto this.
And a yellow and black bat USB drive or thumb drive is handed into the palm of Max.
Oh. Okay, yeah, one of these. Yeah, I think I know how these work. Ooh, and you got a licensed one, too.
Great. Well done, John. And the books. Can I
As you
pass those
hand all
back
of these
off?
down, Duke, you're able to see it's on a thumb drive in the books. Does Duke say anything?
Color me impressed. Learning new skills in the night.
I'll tell you, I've never had to talk my way through John's death quite as difficult as this little guy at Kinko's.
Duke, do me a favor and roll me an intelligence resolve check, a memory check. Beautiful. 4 successes. While it was never made explicitly clear to you, you had visited the Chantry multiple times and have had dealings with them. Not a single time have you ever seen a piece of technology sitting in the Chantry at all. You know technology is more or less forbidden by the Camarilla, though Kindred abide by those rules to differing degrees. But the Chantry you've seen is purely like old school books, writing,
Yeah.
and minimal tech.
Yeah, the flash drive is more for us.
Mm-hmm. Just so you, in case you were planning on handing her the copied versions, I wasn't sure if you were planning on handing her the copied or the actual originals.
I'm going to move the original. There's value in that.
Okay. Yeah, oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. That definitely is a heavier hand to play. Absolutely. So as it's all handed down, Vera, do you start going down there or do you start playing for leaving?
So, I know that I'm charming and all of that, but usually the Chantry sees through it, so...
Oh, what? You look in the ditch?
No, Vera, you can't leave. You're coming with us.
All right, fine. John, take the car home. God, I'm
Of course,
coming
my
into
lady.
the sewers.
And have an enjoyable evening.
Yes, thank you, John.
You hear him
See you,
shuffle
John.
off. Goodbye, Sir Max. And he walks away. All in the sewer. You have a little bit further to go. Enough to, once again, engage in conversation, but we can simply pass if there's no more conversation to be had.
Yeah.
I always would
There's
open the
one-
door to it.
One thing.
Go ahead.
Vera, I know that you treasure your time with John, and I'm willing to find amenities to suit his age. It's coming to pass, Vera. I can
Yes,
only do
dude, I know.
so much, so I believe I'm going to need your input more than anything, not that this is some sort of reminder. I need to know what you would like me to do for our future movement to meet his needs.
Oh, that is a large question for the sewers. I will think on it.
Between these pauses and their sentences, the only sound we hear is the splashing of sewer puddles under their footsteps.
You probably would have noticed that Duke, amidst his normal candor, he's trying to be very delicate about that.
Sure. And Vera's left to think, do we get a response from her during this walk, or does she leave that hang in the air for the remainder of your traversal?
Again, no, she's gonna swallow that pill.
And so she does, and the conversation dies there. Before long, you are where you are to be. A sewer grate or manhole cover, a couple of buildings back behind the front of what is the Chantry of New York City, that antiques odds and ends shop that seems to never have any guests, but a singular employee always ready to answer the door at any given time. Each one of you make your way up one by one, with Max obviously being invisible and carrying the casket sized box upward with him. Bit of a hassle, but not too bad with somebody with such unnatural strength. Duke, I imagine, leads the way to the front door, where a doorbell that is to be rung resides, and we watch his pale finger push forward and depress that black button. The shrill ring beyond the door, muted by the walls and what odds and ends stand before you. And after a mere 30 or so seconds, the front door opens with the bell ding-ling-ling dangling as it creaks, and A blonde woman, as always, stands on the other side. But when she sees you, there's a look of recognition, even perhaps surprise, before it resolves, and she steps back and opens the door. Duke strides in, I imagine.
I just await the invitation, more or less.
She makes
a
physical. Sure, she makes a physical invitation as she gestures to step inside as she pulls the door all the way open.
And for my company as well.
She nods, but says nothing else.
Max will say just quietly to her, "Okay, I'm not trying to sneak."
She does jump back for a brief moment, but she's met Max prior, and as she recognizes the voice, once all of you stride in, the door shuts behind you. And she makes her way behind her desk, wordlessly again, and on the door that leads to the true Chantry, she knocks multiple times. And she then gestures for you to piddle about the store and take some time. They'll be with you when they're ready. Time passes. We'll say anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, somewhere in between there, before that door does eventually creak open. And on the other side is not an apprentice or an elder taking care of the Chantry. It's Ashlynn herself, with her long dark hair, a proper black and red dress that runs the length of her body as well as down to her wrists, with a beautiful collar and a necklace with a red stone in the center. She looks to the to the two of you that are visible, and says out loud, very nonchalantly, "I had heard rumors that zombies had risen from the grave. I am pleased to see that those rumors were truth and my information was correct. I imagine there's much to discuss if you're coming here before." And she shrugs. "Please."
There's a very tight nod.
"Please, all three of you could follow," even though she simply gazes to the two of you. "Though don't expect your protections to last beyond the barrier. Understood?"
Max he'll ripple into existence, and with the box on his shoulder, it's like, yeah, there's actually
There is a
four
look of genuine surprise, but steely stoic resolve remains her most forefront emotion. As she sees Max ripple to existence and, swallows the giant casket on his shoulder, there is just a stoic nod in your direction, Max, of appreciation for taking down the defenses before being forced to by whatever magical means may be there. And as she steps in, gesturing for you all to follow, you all step in too. Duke, you are met with a very familiar hallway with wooden walls and candles being lit on the sides and a red rug underneath as you pass rooms on your left and your right. She leads you directly to the spiral staircase that you all ascend slowly up to what seems to be a third or fourth floor, a floor that shouldn't or doesn't seemingly exist outwardly on the outside, into a familiar room where you met Ashlynn the very first time. A large room with libraries, a library's worth of books and bookcases in this place alone, and a large oaken desk sat squarely in the center, and a velvet red chair behind it. A scattering of books seem open to random pages all across the desk, but she stands in the front of it before turning to the four of you, essentially, and she motions as one of her assistants scurries out from behind a book over in the corner of the room, leaves the room and shuts it behind them, leaving you seemingly the only ones in this room. She looks to, again, as she spins and looks to all of you, she takes a deep breath and says, "Color me surprised, but pleasantly so. What happened and why are you here before me now?"
A lot has happened, Mr. Bridge. A lot in a very short amount of time. I feel like I wanted to properly introduce you to the rest of my remaining coterie.
She looks to Max first. "It's a pleasure to meet you formally, Maxwell." Then she reaches out a hand to shake yours.
"Hey, what's the rumpus? Good to see you."
When she turns to Vera, she kind of just looks you in the eye. While we may not have met formally, I am aware of Vera and her particular actions within the Camarilla, both respected and disgusted. It is good to meet you formally, Miss Volkov.
You as well.
Looks back to Duke. "And who was in the box?" "Sean."
No, I am afraid it is not Sean. It is part of my continued conversation They go by the moniker of Sava.
Here, let me make the introductions as he rips the lid off. Well, actually, we won't need it going back, will we? So he just rips the lid off.
As you rip off the lid, nails kind of pop out. She gazes down through her glasses down to the and down her nose rather into the makeshift casket, and she shakes her head. Not a name I'm familiar with, nor a kindred I'm familiar with.
Do you see the markings on the body?
As you point that out, she takes a few gentle steps forward, gently drops down to one knee, plucks his hand up by his index finger with hers, and gently raises it, twists it left and right, tilting her head to match the movements and examining the marks clearly. They look like burn marks. Walked in the sun perhaps a little too long, or perhaps a fire.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
She places the hand back down in the casket gently as she stands and turns to you, pulling what seems to be like a cloth out of a nearby pocket and wiping her fingers off one by one.
I'd like for Max to retell the tale exactly of how this happened. This wasn't a venture into the sun, Mr. Bridge. Something else entirely. Maxwell?
Yeah, Duke's right, because, see, the thing is, me and Sava had this happen to us in the nighttime. This weren't no sunbathing incident. At least not one that we meant to do on purpose. Thin blood exploded. Boom. Like the sun. You have to talk to Duke and maybe Vera about how they pulled this off, but yeah.
A thin blood exploded like the sun. I apologize, while that certainly invokes a rather distinct image. Do you have more details?
I do.
Well, we had a couple of thin bloods that, we had to take care of. The last one we wanted for questioning, but she had other ideas. She starts shaking and glowing, and her skin starts cracking, and light starts pouring out of her, and, then boom, like a light bomb. Like a sunlight bomb. You get me?
She chews on her bottom lip as she nods her head very subtly. There is quite a bit of information missing between your disappearance and this.
Yes.
Why were you attacking Thin Bloods? What was happening during your disappearance? And why play dead for a government, as far as I'm concerned, has gone out of their way to keep you safe, and she looks to Vera, reward you for past services rendered to the government.
I think Vera makes eyes at Duke. Like, how far are we going?
Allow me to spin a tale for you. And it is fortunately something that you're just going to have to take our relationship on as truth. I'm going to give you a lot of words, context. You'll have to file it. And if you need to record it, then by all means, it can go on record. I have some things to present to you, the first of which was Sava's body. He willingly tortured himself here, knowing that his clan's relationship, particularly to the Chantry, may be of an issue, but he's trying to move past that and beyond this. He's trying to, as the youths say, become legit. But more than that.
So she actually will respond to that, and she steps forward. So you present me a reformed Sabbat.
I present to you an ally and a threat that is much larger than you're aware of. And before you take action, I implore you to listen to the rest of what I have to say. It may make a difference in your continued tenure as the regent. It is that large.
She doesn't look to be making any aggressive maneuvers or anything toward Sava, in case that's like a concern. I'm not sure if that's what you're implying. Simply a confused curiosity, but looks to you as you want to continue.
An older kindred. I'm not particularly aware of their generation. Once part of Sabbat. His name is Antoine. He ran by another moniker at a time. He went by Soapbox. He's a Zemitzi. He was believed to have died in the battle for New York, though I've come to discover that it's a lot harder to kill a kindred when they have everything to live for. He's making a play for New York based on what information I have, and with the current power structure in disarray and the lack of true-placed prince or seneschal, It's easy. Furthermore, he's been utilizing intentional failed diablerie successfully to mask any of his intentions and machinations, though recently has started to make that move. He's established a network and home for the disenfranchised and ill-treated, the Thin Bloods of New York. Through emotional manipulation and typical brainwashing techniques, he's convinced them to call him father, and effectively developed a cult willing to fight for him. Additionally, his army of Thin Bloods are now equipped with a ritual-like spell constituted of, no doubt, Thin Blood alchemy that, after fulfilling this ritual, allows them to briefly float from the ground before combusting and expelling sunlight capable of harming kindred if alone, or killing if en masse. And your banished protege and the previous Thin Blood primogen Larson are at Father's beck and call, and they're assisting and leading said Thin Blood army. More to it, Father is currently occupying the skin of my previous Thin Blood coterie mate, Sean Best, through said failed diablerie. So I bring to you a few pieces, the first of which is proof. Sava's body. You can see what a single Thin Blood explosion did. Imagine multiple. He's torpid for the benefit of you bearing witness to the damage of a single Thin Blood explosion. You may take only epidermal samples, if needed, no blood. He will be leaving with us in the same state, and the moment that he leaves from torpor, his body will attempt to heal, which is why he agreed to go under the guise that he was helping us in the Chantry alike. The next is not only a gift, but also an extension of said trust. I'm aware of how limited the information of Thin Blood alchemy is in the Chantry, based on responses that I've heard from you and others here. Expose a book. This used to belong to Sean Best. I tried to determine its original maker and point of origin, as I've come to the conclusion that it did not belong originally to Sean, but that he had inherited this. Sean managed to decipher more than a fair amount of potential Thin Blood alchemy in this grimoire, and I pass it across the table.
She gently places her left hand upon it, dragging it the rest of the way before she opens up to a random page, flips forward a few, flips back a few, and while the emotions displayed upon her face don't change, she places the book back upon the desk and looks back up to you.
Now, I know you have some things, but please, I'm almost finished. You're probably wondering why I'm bringing all this to you. Well, it's because these problems have become our problems, regardless of how we attempt to turn our heads and ignore it. This can further establish a positive effect on the standing relationship between the Chantry and the Camarilla, given my understandings of the consistent tensions between the two. And you probably want to know why and how this can affect that relationship. See, there's a high likelihood that currently the Camarilla to the Chantry relationship stands where it always has. But with a current replacement acting prince, who knows how long that will remain, having legs and flourishing, or at least remaining neutral. Whereas, and I'm aware that you have a relationship with the previous prince, Prince Panhard, and it was something of a reliability, and I know how important consistency and reliability are, as often it is a descriptor that we fail to offer our peers in our second lives. The prince hasn't gone to the Middle East. She's on a vacation in the Alps. There was an attempt on her life by your very own Meer. Threads were severed from her lips by Larson, and she muttered a ritual that nearly brought the prince to dust. But it failed. The sheriff was also aware of this before he was attacked, as we were. We're not aware of whether or not he is still alive and attempting, or aware if he is still alive.
He is, in fact, alive, in the custody of this same Temitsi.
Then my thoughts were correct that he's either attempting to recover or he's personally in immediate captivity. Similarly, we were attacked. My guess is a secondary force, but we were able to stave off the attackers and disguised our own deaths. We even went as far as to burning our establishment to further convince those of that lie. They were hunters. They had rounds designed to dispose of kindred and had additional techniques, which led us to this result. They lost, as they were not prepared. Now here we stand. The prince is still alive, and we know where she is. I've just now learned that the sheriff is still alive, and I have an idea where he might be. But I'm cleaning up some messes. And not only does New York need your help, but the Camarilla as a whole will need your help.
Well, Mr. Premind, you've placed a lot on my table in such a short amount of time.
It's what I'm good at.
Many of the questions I initially had, you've sufficiently answered. Should I believe everything you say at face value? And of course, I have reason to believe that at least a majority of what you say, you believe to be true. I am still left with questions. The Sabbat tend to chomp at our heels at any given time. Packs amongst New York are being squashed as often as we can find them. What makes you believe, well, and she takes a moment, if what you say is true, rather, then this particular pack has acquired quite a bit of power without being noticed once. Impressive. But why you? Why your haven, domain? Why are you the target in all of this? You are seemingly, and I don't mean this with any intention of insult, meaningless in the grand scheme of things.
Simply a tool. I believe a stepping stone is what I am. But New York, I believe, is the greater cause here. That and potential squabble between Vera and this figure. I do not know the length of their relationship, but it stories back to the Battle of New York, where the Sabbat were flushed out. They were lost. And as you're aware of Vera's experiences within the Camarilla, those of rapport and disgust, know that she had played a large hand, as we are playing now.
It's a lot to swallow in the moment, but it does make certain things in the past year or so make more sense.
I value our relationship, Mr. Bridge, and I see the value in that continuing to flourish, which is why I brought you that particular grimoire. It's the original, the master copy. Some things are indecipherable. There's a lot of spilled blood over those pages.
And what is it truly you ask of me, then?
To reinstate the current official prince. She's stuck in a state of consistent torpor.
I, unfortunately, do not have the power to reinstate her. However, should things go appropriately, I can put our support behind reinstating her.
Mr. Ridge, I think you misunderstand. I need you to wake her up.
Ah, I thought you were speaking politically.
Politically, she can handle that. We're keeping her alive so that we can hold our positions as the ones not being at fault for this, as I'm sure many would like to see it that way. But as much as I loathe New York, it's home for many.
Then I take it you haven't been paying terribly close attention to Camarilla politics while you've been in hiding.
We haven't really had an opportunity to, no.
The new prince, while certainly not friendly with everybody, is good at swaying those he needs to. The council is mostly behind him. The rest are neutral, with one or two particularly not thrilled. If we wish to reinstate her, waking her won't be the only thing we need to do. But if all of you said is true, I am happy to put the Chantry behind such a thing. Her and, I should say, myself and Panhard had an amicable relationship. The current prince and I don't necessarily see eye to eye as often as Panhard and I. She reaches down into her boot and slips a small dagger out from beneath it. She takes a knee next to Sava and brings his arm up. And she cuts away at the burned area of part of his body, sliding the skin right off the top and bringing it over to a container, corking it. She dangles it a little bit, plays with not plays with it, but it jingles inside the glass vial. And she slides it into her belt pocket.
You got what you need? Can we wake Sava up?
I would prefer you don't wake us in Sabat in the Chantry. Remove him from the premises before you do so.
Oh, right. Ah, jeez, I ripped the lid right off of that. I'm gonna have to take him out of here like open face.
She just she kind of just gives you like a go ahead gesture.
There
Watches Max peels him from the.
One more thing. I present a silver dagger. This belonged to the figure that coordinated the assassination on the prince. This is Maxwell's sire, Gustav Nosferatu, which made an appearance some many months ago.
I am aware of the name. Those who run with the Sabat tend to be real pieces of shit, as she looks to Sava.
But redemption is very much a thing.
Oh, right.
Do you continue as you offer her the dagger? She plucks it from your hands.
We need an idea about where he is. We need to finish some things.
A tracking ritual, something simple.
Yes.
For all you've offered me here tonight, I don't see why not. She opens the door. She walks past you briskly, opens the door, and maybe 10 feet down the hallway, that same apprentice who was in the room is waiting patiently, back turned to the door. And she makes she just makes like a noise as she clears her throat, and the apprentice spins around and hurries back over. Yes, I would like you, Layla, and she turns to the three of you, to offer them our assistance. They wish to have a tracking ritual done upon, and she hands the dagger over, this particular item. Can you manage? She nods emphatically as she takes the dagger from Ashlynn's hands, and she then walks a few feet away before Ashlynn turns around. She'll take care of you tonight, I imagine, and she looks back and there's another emphatic nod, but no words. She'll be able to take care of you this evening. If that'll be all, I am extremely grateful, Mr. Premond, for your company, to see you all in good health, save Sean. Does that mean Sean truly is perished, then?
Yes, I believe so. As much as I loathe to say it, yes, I believe so.
She just kind of raises an eyebrow and chews her lip for a moment before just saying, a shame, but better thin blood than us.
Mr. Ridge, before we leave, we need to discover how to wake the prince.
Return with her, and I can get to work. Until then, I am unable to help, as I know not the manner in which she is. And she just shrugs.
She isn't far. Will you continue to be available on this evening?
Returning this evening. She looks back. Perhaps tomorrow night, Layla. Then she waves her away. I eagerly await your return, Mr. Premond. I'll keep my night schedule clear.
I look to the others, and that's probably the first time you've seen Duke somewhat hopeful. Like, it's all in the eyes, right? It's just a slight childlike glow in the eyes of like, yes, comeuppance.
Now, if you wouldn't mind fetching, I've got work to do in the meanwhile.
Okay, fetching. Looks like I'm up at bat. At bat, get it?
She does not laugh nor smile.
It's 'cause I look like a big bat.
I understood the pun.
Okay, I was just worried you didn't get it 'cause you didn't laugh.
Please be on your way and don't waste my time any longer. All of you. As you make your way out the front door, into the back of the sewer and down the sewer grates. The clank of the sewer grate cuts the screen to black. And we'll return next week with more Stitch of Fate. Goodbye, everybody.
Hi there, mortals. Thanks for tuning in. It's your dear hero Volkov, and I'm here to tell you that the club is undergoing a few renovations after a little accident, and we could use all the resources to get us back on our feet. You can help us by either joining our Patreon or getting your hands on an official Stitch of Fate, or Drakpack t-shirt by visiting TeePublic and searching Pod by Night. Well, go on. What are you waiting for?